Hello students, this is Abdelkader Ouda. Welcome again to AS 1036 video series. In this video, I'll be discussing the instance fields and instance method in Java classes. Let's get started. Remember when we described classes and objects, we said that an object is an instance of a class. Note that each instance of a class has its own copy of instance fields. What does it mean? Let us look at the code we defined in our example rectangle class. We described in the posted video for week 4 lesson 2. In this class, we defined two fields. We defined length and we defined width. These two fields are called instant fields. And also we defined number of methods, set methods and get methods, and we defined get area method. These methods are called instance methods. So here we have an instance field called length. We have an instance method called get area. Note that in order to assign a concrete value for the length or for the width, we need to create an instance of this class. We need to create an object of this class. And also in order to call any of these methods, we need to create an instance of this class in order to be able to call this instance methods. Note that each instance of this class, or again, each object of this class, can set different value for the length. So I have here this instance field may have a value for the first instance of the class and also has other value for the other instance of the class. So we showed here in this example, again, this is the rooms area class. We defined this class in the video posted for week 4 lesson 3. Note that here I have defined three instances of the class. We have kitchen, we have living room and bedroom. This is called instance of the class. So kitchen is an instance of a class rectangle. Living room is an instance of a class rectangle. For each of these instances, we defined different value for the length and width. So look at this line here. We defined a value for the length equal to input. And also we defined another value for the length for the living room. So I have here two instances with two different values for the same instance field. So again, in order to assign a value for the instance field, we need to create an instance for this class and then give it a value for this specific instance. And in order to call an instance method, again, we need to have an object or an instance of the class in order to be able to call the method. And this is the way we call it. We write the object name or the instance of the class dot and then the method name. Instance method typically interact with instance fields or calculate value based on those fields, like the method we defined for get area. Alright, so as we have instance field and instance methods, we also have static fields and static methods. A static field and static method don't need to have an instance of the class. They are belong to the class itself. So we don't need to create an instance of the class in order to be able to assign a value for static fields or to be able to call a method from the class. So to invoke static methods or use a static field, we just use the class name instead of using the object name. In this example here, we use the math standard class in order to invoke the method square root. Simply here we use the class name instead of object name because method has been defined as a static method inside this class, and directly we invoke this method. All right, so how we define static fields? So we need to write the static keyword between the access specifier and the field type. As we have it here, private static. And here I defined in this example an integer. I name it instance count and I give it the value 0. Once we execute the class that has this line, this field going to be assigned the value 0. Let us look at this example here. I have a class countable. I defined in this class one field as a static and initialize it by 0, and the constructor of this class increment this field by 1, and I have another method that return the value of this field. I call it get instance count. And here for to demonstrate this class, in the main method I defined a field of type int. I have here 3 instantiation of this class, so I defined here an instance of the class countable called object1, another instance of the class called object2, and object3. And I have here this line to print the value for this instance. Remember, once we start to run this application, this line will be executed and assign a value for this field in the main memory and give it the value 0. So if this is the location of this field in the main memory, instance, I call it here instance count. Once this class executed by the program, because we have this initialization, 0 will be stored for this field. And here in this line, when we create an object of type countable, this constructor will be called, and then the constructor increment the value for instance count by 1. So this value going to be 1. When the program execute the next line here, they're going to also create, they're going to call the constructor once more, and then the constructor going to increment this value by 1, and then we're going to have these values, value 2 stored for the instance count. When the program starts to execute the last object creation, and we call the constructor for the countable class, this method going to be executed once more and increment the value for this field by 1. Then the value for this field going to be 3. And this line here going to print the value 3. All right, so as we have a static field, we also can define static methods. And as we said for the static field that it's belong to the class, also a static method belong to the class. How we define the static methods? Again, we write the keyword static between the access modifier and the return type. And once we have this declaration, this method now is belong to the class, not to any instance of the class. Let us consider this example. I have here 2 static methods for the class metric. We have the method miles to kilometers, another static method kilometers to miles. The first one accept miles and convert it to kilometers. The second one accept kilometers and convert it to miles. We have here another code to demonstrate the use of these static methods. Notice that here I'm calling miles to kilometers in this line, and I'm using here the class name is not an object name. It's not like instance method. Remember, in order to call an instance method, we need to create an object and then call the method for that object. But now miles to kilometer is a method that is defined as a static method, so we don't need to create an object for it. We simply use the class name instead of the object name. So now we have discussed the instance field and instance methods, and also the static field and the static methods. Note that the static methods are convenient because they may be called at the class level. No need to create an object for it. They are typically used to create utility classes such as the math class in Java Standard Library. Note that in the body of the static method, we cannot reference to instance fields, should be all static fields. I hope that you find this video beneficial, and goodbye.